Metroid Prime 4, played that last year, started that last year, and I was like, I want to finish this before jumping headfirst into Silksong, because I'd seen that Metroid was about, 10 to 12 hours?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty palatable, can do that pretty quickly. And I played the remaster of Prime earlier last year, and I really enjoyed that. And so I was quite excited for 4, even though I haven't played like 2 and 3, just, off of the back of that remaster. And I don't think 4 is nearly as good as the first one. And it feels very odd as like, are Metroids Metroidvanias? I'm not, maybe I'm projecting that onto the
It's
series,
in the
but
name.
it feels, I mean, it's in the name, but like, it doesn't feel like a Metroidvania. At least Prime, the first Prime did. This one doesn't really. So you play Samus on this, you get teleported very quickly on in the game to this planet, and you've lost most of your abilities, which is pretty much how all Prime games start.
Every time.
And you have these like specific biomes. Like, you start in a place called Fury Green, and you've got a different biome that's like electricity. It's called Vault Forge, and then you've got an ice one, and then you've got a lava one, and then you've got a I don't know what the last one is. It's like underground in a mine. I don't know what element that is meant to like signify.
Rock.
Yeah, rock. So you travel to these different biomes, and each biome is like a self-contained dungeon. They remind me a lot of like Zelda dungeons.
I know.
And in between them is this big sparse like desert area that you use Samus's bike on to kind of just go between these areas.
Yeah.
That desert area is kind of bland and boring. There's nothing really to do there. There's these small little like challenge rooms that you can take on. They remind me of shrines in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And a lot of those contain your upgrades to a lot of the abilities you find. But you can only do shrines in a specific order, because they are you can only unlock them when you have specific powers anyway. So you can find all of them in the open world, but not really do anything with them until you get to a certain part of the story.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the different biomes that you visit. Some of them are locked down with, like, say, a door that requires your fire beam. And, well, if you don't have the fire beam, you've got to go somewhere else. And I find that initially that traversal between these different areas is kind of annoying, because you would drive all this distance to get there. You would kind of start entering this area, get to a point to be like, nope, got to retread back all the way, and go try a different area. Whereas in the first Prime, this was all one self-contained map, and it felt like you were still exploring as you were figuring out the correct path through this world. Here, it's just like, no, hop between these 4 biomes and just pick the one that you can actually access now in a very linear fashion. You don't really have agency to kind of chart your way through the game.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, it doesn't really feel like a Metroid, because there's only one critical path you can follow. And the dungeons themselves are self-contained. They don't like interlink in any interesting ways. So a lot of the times you're just progressing through these dungeons very linearly. It feels a lot of the times like you're just moving between one room to another, and there's just like enemies as you go. And then you get to the end, you get your power, and then you traverse backwards through that same area, sometimes with a slightly different route, because now you've got a different ability.
Yeah.
But I was watching SkillUp's review of this, or actually his preview before the review came out, and he was criticizing an aspect of Prime 4 where he said the abilities felt like keys rather than abilities. Like, you get, say, a double jump, or you get your grappling hook, or you get a certain like your ice or your fire beam, and they don't feel like abilities that actually fundamentally change the way you play. They just feel like, oh, now I've got the fire beam, I can now open this red door in this specific place. It is a key. It's not really a shift in how you approach combat or how you approach traversal. It's just like, now you can access this area. And I think to a degree Metroidvanias are all that, but I think that good Metroidvanias make each ability feel like you are exploring the world in a different way or approaching combat in a different way. And I don't think Metroid Prime 4 does that at all. I think Silksong, by comparison, does it way, way, way better.
Yeah.
But the way I was moving through Prime 4 at the start was the same way I was making my way through it at the end, maybe just with a double jump letting me get to certain areas a bit more easily.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, it's a bit disappointing, I think. I think the combat's quite fun. It's cool to have a shooter that is, controller-centric, and it feels controller-centric. And a lot of the time playing it, I was like, man, I should really go back and play Halo. I don't know why it evoked that sort of feeling with me. It just has a good gun feel on the controller.
Nice.
I think the bosses kind of suck. They're very, very bullet spongy, and they can kill you very quickly. And then you just restart those fights over again. I just don't think they don't feel fun. They don't have clever puzzle aspects to them. Again, the first Prime did. This one just is like a battle of attrition. You've just got to put so many bullets into this thing and avoid so many attacks, and it feels pretty mindless half the time. So I think Prime 4 is not a bad game. It's just kind of I find disappointing and a bit of a boring one. And I think that's quite disappointing for a series like Metroid Prime, which is so lauded, especially the first one, and considering we waited 7 years for this game.
The fact that it actually exists to begin with is a miracle, because it was yep, it's happening. Oof, is it happening? When's it coming? Oh, it is coming. Oh, it's out. And 7 years is just
it's a long
crazy.
Time. You can tell that there were different ideas for this game throughout development that I think they had to maybe change or compromise on. The open world aspect feels like they were trying to do a sort of Breath of the Wild thing with Metroid, and then
on paper it sounds like that is the inspiration, because that reinvented Zelda. I'm sure they're we've got to do something similar for Metroid. Let's try the same approach, but it just didn't come together. It doesn't sound like.
Yeah, or they had the 4 biomes and they couldn't find clever ways to interconnect them within this open world, so they had them as distinct areas that you enter and exit in and out of. And I think the areas themselves are pretty cool. Vault Forge and the Ice Belt are really fun to not fun to explore, they're visually fun to explore. They look really good.
Yeah, I was going to say, visually the game looks
good.
It's
top tier.
Great,
yeah. It's really, really beautiful. And it's got a really good sense of art direction, I find. It's just the game itself is kind of doesn't live up to that same standard. So I think if you've never played a Metroid Prime, you'll probably still find something out of it. But if you've played the remaster, I think you'll probably come away from this slightly disappointed.
Yeah.
And I'm now curious to play Prime 2 and 3 to see if this was actually the natural progression of the series, or if Prime 4 is a massive departure from what the Prime series has been, because I don't know what that lineage has been. I mean, the first Prime came out in 2001 or 2,
so long
ago.
Ages
ago. Yeah. But I think if you're looking for a quintessential Metroid experience, you should play that, or you should play Metroid Dread, which I think we both love.
Oh, Dread's great.
Those are
that's a more
Metroidvanias.
Traditional. Yeah. I was gonna say, I know you're disappointed at the bosses, but I don't know. It's to me a first-person shooter thing. I think it's just difficult to make a good boss on a first-person shooter. Whereas if I think of Dread, those bosses were also bullet sponges, but because it's a 2D platformer, I don't know, it just lends itself to more exciting or interesting boss fights, I think. I don't know. First-person shooter, it's this weird, awkward movement of you know what I mean? It just doesn't feel as good as a platformer from that point of view.
No, I totally agree with you. And if you compare these ones to the one in Dread, it's night and day. Dread had phenomenal boss fights, I thought. I think the first Prime does boss fights well because they're more like puzzles. They're not necessarily just about shooting and dodging. And I think that's where this falters. This one is primarily just shoot.
Just shoot, yeah.
So, and there's not enough, I think, way to the final boss is
a pain.
Oh, it's so bad. There's 3 or 4 different phases, and one of the phases is almost like a shmup. You're floating through space, and you've just kind of got to move your cursor around and shoot and survive. And if you die in the very last phase of the boss, you've got to go all the way back and do that auto shooting section. It fucking sucks, man. It's so shit. I hate it. Yeah, it's a bad boss. Really, really, really didn't like that boss. But it's cool. I know everyone's made a big deal about the talking NPCs. I think they're quite cool. I think what happens to them narratively is bullshit, but I found a lot of them quite interesting and funny. There's one soldier that completely geeks out over Samus.
Oh,
it's
nice.
She cannot believe that she's on a mission with Samus, and then when you turn into the morph ball first, she's like, look, Look, she's doing Morphball. Look at that. It's really fun. I thought that was quite
That's
cute.
cool.
But yeah, other than that, I think it's worth giving a go, but it's definitely not. I don't think it justifies how long it was in development for.
No, I also think it's a Metroid. You expect a top tier like 95 Metacritic game, and it's just not that. I think it just let a lot of
not even
people down.
close. Yeah. I do wonder now if Nintendo just never does a Prime again, because I don't. I don't. I guess it depends on how well it sells, not necessarily how critically well acclaimed it is. But
I think it'll be a long time
Metroid
before
traditionally
we see
has sold poorly, so I don't think negative buzz helps it at all.
No, I think we'll see. Look, Metroid won't go away because I mean it's like one of the longest standing franchises. We'll see like a Dread 2 or something in that realm, like a 2D traditional Metroid. I think.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I'd be keen for like a sequel to Dread. That would be, because Dread is awesome.
It was great.
I actually want to play it again because it's really good.
Yeah, then that.
So I would definitely play one of those again. Yeah.
That I mean, just thinking of Dread, that game, like actual art and how those levels are designed, where it's a Metroidvania, but it always got you to where you needed to be, and it interconnected so well. And every time I got a new ability, it just put me, I don't know, it was just every time I got a new something I was put where I needed to be, I was like, holy shit, like how did they think this through to like put me where I need to be in this maze of levels, whatever. Very clever design.
And then the combat was top notch. Like those
really
boss
fun.
battles were hard.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't good at blocking and countering and then shooting, it was tough. That final boss I remember being tough as hell.
Yeah,
but
it's good fun.
in a engaging way. It was really, really good. Yeah.